to our third conference, online conference. The topic is called Employee Relations and the Law. We are going to be looking at a view of the global labor force in the new normal. And because we are way behind time, we would like to start immediately by introducing Mojisola Garba. She'll be our first speaker for the program. Please, if you have any questions, can you kindly submit your questions to this while she's quickly trying to keep us abreast on how, as we as human resource personnel, business owners, and even staff are going to handle this novel pandemic, this crisis, not look past the reality that this is going to change the way we return to work. So please, Ms. Mojisola would be talking to us and trying to explain to us and keep us abreast. And we have some questions that we'd like to, take from this at the end of the session. Please be reminded that there'll be a certificate at the end of this program. You can get your certification by registering online via the link that you use to register for this seminar. Please, thank you for
Hello everyone, how are you all doing? It's good to have everybody online, and while we discuss our employee-employer relation in accordance to what has been going on around the world. If I have a slide up that Ugo, please, we can start with sharing the slide.
Okay, I'm trying to get it.
Global outlook. All right, while you're doing that, let me just keep talking. Okay. We will start from the global outlook and the perspective of what's going on around the world, then come down to our environment, Nigeria. There is no argument that the workforce has changed. Nobody's going to argue that. We've covered a lot of points on how to keep our environment safe, how to keep the workforce safe for everybody, and how to work safely from our homes where we have to. But the truth of the matter is, the world economy has been pushed into recession and million workers have been laid off globally. Usually, companies are prepared for economic downturns. They have arrangements made just in case things go wrong economically and all that. And in the case of disasters, when you have disaster issues that you feel your insurance will be able to cover. But in this instance where things are just practically stopped, lifestyle has been changed. How do you change it? COVID-19 has changed the dynamics of business, the business environment, the work environment. It has affected every relationship you can talk of, and part of those relationships affected is the employee-employer relationship. And in a way that nobody ever planned it. There's no scenario planning that can cover what we are going through right now. And not a single company can boast that they are ready for the magnitude of change that is going on around the world. So we can all just accept that the global outlook is not very positive. The first slide, I'm not seeing the slide, Ugo.
Yeah, I'm getting up. In a few minutes, it will come up.
All right.
Download. Kindly hold on. In a few seconds, it should be up.
One of the things that on the slide, I have some figures for developed countries, some clients like America, United Kingdom, Japan, and maybe Canada on that slide. That gives us some figures of what's going on in those regions. And according to The Guardian, 20 million Americans lost their jobs in April. And according to them, that's the worst month since the Great Depression. The UN also predicts that by COVID-19 will be permanent. That is, not only will people lose their jobs, some of them will lose their jobs permanently. These are not good figures for anybody. Nobody wants to lose their job. But how do we go about it? If you look at what's going on in the global economy and then bring that back to what's going on in our environment, there's no difference. The only difference will come to the slight difference that where they're able to manage their environment as opposed to what we have on ground in Nigeria. The reasons for the reduced labor cost is very simple, is very obvious. People have to, the companies, they have to reduce some form of cost. And usually when companies look at cost-cutting measures, they usually target employees' salaries and compensations. Those are the ones that they easily attack first, the ones that they feel, look, this one we have to let go of. It's a very simple thing. They want to protect themselves financially. They need to look at cost-cutting measures, and they looked at, we have to protect our bottom line. So therefore, something has to give. And they will be more concerned about using the available resources they have with them to keep their businesses afloat, whether employees like it or not. Also, you have to understand that the unknown nature of the evolving challenges, the future, nobody can at this time predict the future. And because of that, they have to consider some form of, whichever terms we want to look at it. Are we laying off staff? Are we reducing labor? Are we reducing our cost? Whichever way we look at it, some steps will have to take place. Now, resizing of workforce and the changing of the way work is being done.
Can you see
How
the screen?
do we go about it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you see the screen? Can you see your screen?
Yes,
I can see the screen. I think I'm on number 4 right now, or 5 actually.
Okay.
Next one. Okay, we can just move to, okay.
Right.
I've done this, I've passed this stage.
Okay.
Okay, we can stay here for a while. We can stay here for a while.
Okay.
Okay. So in the United States of America, you have over 40 million workers as at May 28. United Kingdom, 2.1 million. Japan, 1.76 million. In Nigeria, we do not have any official data, but we know from what's going on around us. A leading Nigerian airline, they recently sent 90% of their workforce home without pay. So those are what is going on globally in the workforce. If you focus on the economic impact of the COVID-19 on our workforce. Now, in some ways, there are some sort of unevenness caused by the pandemic. So some industries are doing fine, while some are totally wiped off. If you look at the hospitality industry, travel and tourism, they are the ones that are really, really hit with all these issues. Meanwhile, on the flip side, you see the pharmaceutical, the groceries and the delivery services, they are doing fine. Some have even gone ahead to make a lot of profits at this time. So there is that, you have the negative impact, and then you have the positive impact. So some people are enjoying it, some are totally wiped off. That's what you have globally. In Nigeria also, you look at the pharmaceutical, they won't say they are doing too badly. Groceries won't say they are doing too badly. But the travel companies, they can't handle, nobody's traveling, nobody's going well. So that area is practically almost wiped off. Next slide, we go. You go, next slide. Okay, that's just a graph of, this graph is from African Development Bank Group that shows us the different scenarios in the different economies, China, Australia, Germany, United States, and South Korea. It just shows us how the unemployment rate is just fluctuating and how it's just going up, 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 and it's not really coming down much. Next slide, please. That's just another representative of what's going on around the world. This is IMF data. That's their own graph of what's going on around the world also. This is for advanced economies. It has nothing to do with Nigeria. We don't have any data in Nigeria to fall back on. Next one, please. Okay, so we've spoken about this. The companies, the industries that have negative impact of the COVID-19, the hospitality, the travel and tourism, and then the services, that's your financial institutions, the law firms, insurance companies, and ride-hailing like Uber and all that. They are really, really hit with what's going on with the pandemic. Next slide, please. Okay, this thing is coming up in Google.
There's some of the iPhone, we might need to take that person out. Coming from.
So you might need to stop sharing. Okay, so let's keep talking. I can talk without the slide, it's fine.
That'll be great, thank you.
Okay. So we have category. Let's now come to Nigeria. Let's focus on Nigeria. We see what's going on around the world. Let's come down to our country. Now, if you look at our nation, most businesses in Nigeria, they fall into very few sections. You have the MSME companies, that's the micro, small, and medium scale businesses, and then you have the large corporations. Now, the majority of the company of these companies in Nigeria, about 80 to 85% of all businesses in Nigeria, they are the MSMEs. The large corporations are there, but they are very few. The MSMEs are the ones they employ between 2 to 100, let's say 2 to 200 employees. That's what they employ. Unfortunately, with them, with this set of companies that we have, they have underlying issues in their employee-employer relationship. And my worry is that in this environment where our labor law is not so adequate, how do they handle what's going on right now with their employers? How is the employee-employer relationship handled? One of the major problems they have is the contract of employment and the way they handle their employment process. A lot of their staff, what they have as their contract of employment is just merely offer letters. Some of them are on oral and verbal, some have written contracts, but even the written contract, when you look at it, they just don't serve much, because you don't have more than the name of the employees, the address of the employees, and the monthly salary, not even the monthly take home that the person is going to take home. Just few information are written on those documents. The lack of complete and proper letter of employment with full details of employee's obligation is not clearly written. And therefore, when you have issues like this, how will these employers sort out their employees? What are the expectations of the employees from their employers? But in a case where you don't have full contract of employment that details much more beyond your name and your address and what you're taking home, you now have issues in an environment where the law is weak, the labor law is archaic, is old, is inadequate, it doesn't handle anything within this environment with what's going on right now in the world, in the globe. You know, when you have those issues, then there's a problem in how to go forward. Those underlying problems, and I'll suggest that right now, before I even go forward in what I'm going to discuss, everyone on this platform should understand that your letter of contract, your contract of employment with your company determines how your company will treat you, how you'll be treated when there are issues, such as what we have right now globally. What we have seen is that there is no uniformity across the companies. You will have, 1 minute please. You will have some people are treated fairly or treated one way in one company, while you move on to another company, their treatment is very different, you know, it differs. You know, you don't have any uniform way of treating your staff. Now, well, let's talk a bit about our labor law that will, you know, to drive our conversation around how our staff will be treated. There are so many areas of the current work environment that are not covered in the Labor Act. So a lot of times companies have had to join the international governing laws, the SPHRi Act, the Pension Act, everything, join them together to try and come up with something that they can agree with their staff. Unfortunately, a lot of these agreements, these various agreements should have been tabled into a document and improved onto the Labor Act so that there's uniformity across the industries. Fortunately also, the global employment law is slowly coming up. It's slow, but at least we are getting there. But you have also where, because there is no major main platform for industries and companies to work from, CEOs and owners of businesses, they just do anything they want to do. Most times, sometimes just treat their workers anyhow. And then when you have issues like what's going on now, you don't have a uniform treatment for your staff. The effect of the pandemic around the world is caused that you agree that there will be redundancies, there will be job losses, there will be reduced labor costs, whatever term you want to use. It's not discriminating anybody, but where you will have discrimination is where you don't have legal law binding the employee to the employer and how they are treated at the end of the day. In some areas, you have government. In some countries, you have government assistance. They've helped with their payroll support. They've been able to support their employees around the world. But in Nigeria, we don't have such arrangements. If you look at the system, the employment system support that America has, they're able to support in various ways. They've released different palliatives into their economy to be able to support. They've come up with schemes that can help those that don't have work, that don't have jobs, they don't have income, they've lost income. United Kingdom also, they've been able to release some form of, palliatives for their workers also. But Nigeria, unfortunately, our economy does not support anybody that is out of work. How do you handle that? We don't have the money to do that. Everybody has to rely on everybody to be able to survive. So it still comes down to the Labor Act for me. The Labor Act needs to be improved. It needs to be worked on. It needs to be, totally overhauled. What we are using right now is a labor law that is as old as 1880, if I can remember, that has not really been overhauled. Apart from, you have Pension Act that has been worked on, you have the SPHRi Act that has been, agreed with the trade union and all that. So all these issues are there for us in this nation that is not allowing companies to be able to treat their workers fairly. I wish I can share the slide, but it's fine. What we have so far, the CBN has provided some 50 billion to MSMEs, and they've reduced interest rates for some loans and all that. But those things are not targeted directly at any individual employee. It's not money that is coming to you directly. UK, they augment the employers that have lost some money. Germany, they work reduced hours and all that. But when you lose your job, you lose your job. So in the remaining part of this discussion, I'm going to talk to HR, company workers, and even the employees, and advise on how to go about some of these issues that we are going through. We have different options. There is no argument that companies will have to reduce workforce. But please, how we handle that is very, very important. One, we are all under pressure. The company cannot afford to pay anybody if there is no income coming in. However, while in trying to reduce costs, we can view some options from one aspect, what they've used, what the system they've had in place that they have used for their own society that has at least made them a bit sane. One of the options they've had is the work sharing. The work sharing option is you have temporary reduction of employees' working hours. Instead of laying them off, you allow your workers to work few hours in a day, and then you pay them according to those hours. You don't totally cut them off, but at least they work, few hours. You have the advantages of this. It benefits both you and the employers. The employee will work less hours. It saves their job than getting laid off. The employer also is able to retain.
Okay, what slide are you on?
Because when you lay off staff.
Hello, ma. Yeah, let me try slide sharing again.
Can you hear me, Ugo?
Yes, what slide are you on? Let me try sharing again.
Can you hear me?
Please carry on. Please carry on.
not pushing that side. Don't worry, don't slide.
Okay.
Please don't slide. Okay. As long as everybody can, I'm trying to rush through it
Yes, we
because we've lost,
Yeah.
you know, so we all agree that yes, there will be some form of reduced labor costs, cutting moves. So what I'm trying to explain now is there are options that we can have rather than laying off staff. You can have sharing systems that some global economies are applying, where workers work reduced hours, work a full 8 hours per day, 9 hours per day. They get paid for that, and you don't lose your staff, because lay off staff suggests that laying off is not the first option companies should consider. Look for ways. There are so many options, because when you lay off your staff, the probability of you getting those trained staff back is very, very low. And by the time you get them back also, their morale is so low, they are not really ready to put in so much effort in the work, in what you are employing them to do. So that's one option. You can have pay cuts. You can negotiate to save jobs by offering pay cuts. And please, when you're offering pay cuts, it doesn't have to be your employees only. It can start from the CEO, your partners, your associates. You can even reduce year-end profits, and then, or even pay in batches. Just don't target the employees in there. Say, okay, we are trying, the world is coming to an end, the pandemic has caused so much disruption in our income, where employees start going. No. You can lay off staff, but you can do it in a final way, in a systematic way. Now, as I said, please think temporary and short-term measures. Don't think layoff. Layoff is my last option for anybody. There's a system that United Kingdom has, where they have staff furlough, where you're allowed in their own climate up to a year. And it's basically you don't pay for a certain period of time. You are not sacked, but you are not receiving payments. But you are not earning salary, but you are not sacked. I don't know how that will work in our country, because we need money. Everybody wants to work and earn money. But, well, now, it comes to my point where we consider the factors to consider before we lay off staff. Please think strategically. Do your financial intelligence quite well. Make your calculations very well before you consider laying off staff. These 4 options I've listed above: staff furlough, staff pay cut, and then work sharing. Those are options that other countries apply. We can apply also in our country, in our environment. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect to get the same result. We have to think beyond this and adopt measures that are good, that has worked in the global economy, that can be suitable for us also in Nigeria. So those are my options. Please don't go straight to staff layoff. It's not ideal. You are not doing yourself any good in trying to reduce costs by laying off. There are other things that you can do. You can reduce some expenses. But all in all, check your company, check what is suitable for you, see what you can do to stay afloat because we don't know how long this is going to linger. And the longer it lingers, the more measure you have to put in place, the more measure you have to keep putting in place. Now, my advice to employees: look, this issue has already disrupted all our lives and our economy. We don't need to make it worse. We have to be very, very realistic. We, at the back of our mind, should not expect a company that has not been generating income to be able to pay much. Don't get too upset. Be very realistic. You can upskill yourself. You can do so many things for yourself. You can develop new skills. You can improve on your current skill. And very importantly, be very, very employable. A lot of people are not employable, but they want to be employed. We don't need to go further into that statement, but please be very, very employable. The situation on ground with this situation, all of us have to make some sacrifices. Employees, employers, everybody, we all have to make sacrifices. There's no one size fits all with everybody. It's unique. Every company needs to be able to understand what they are doing and be able to adapt the situation to themselves and be able to control the environment. But in doing that, be fair to yourself, be fair to your workers. The employee should ensure that you have in your possession, in every place of work that you work, comprehensive letter of employment is very, very important. It details the company's obligations to you. A lot of times we have people expect that the employee should know their obligations, but what of the obligation of the company to me as a worker? You know, the Labor Act is very, very key in determining what goes on with all these issues. There's a contract management course that Clarentech is offering. It's free for now. People should log into it and go through it and understand the importance of that contract. Without your contract, there is nothing you can negotiate because you should have done your negotiation before. How you are laid off, what you are paid, if you are going to be laid off, what you are entitled to is all within your contract of employment. When you have an agreement, is a problem. Written agreement is a problem. When you don't even know how much your take home is, all you have on your paper is your salary. It's a great problem because at the end of the month, you don't know what you're going to take home. You know, so those are issues I would advise employees to always consider. If what you have right now is not ideal, you have to work around it. You have to get better working conditions for yourself that is written, signed, sealed, and signed by both yourself and your employees and your employer. Now, my advice to employers, at this time, effective communication is key. It's very critical. Whichever direction the company is going to go to, let your staff know. Be transparent, be very honest. At the same time, do not overpromise. Don't promise what you cannot give. And if you're going to lay off staff, please be nice and empathize. The thought of becoming unemployed, makes anybody, even if you're a man, the strongest man on this earth, you will be miserable. The mental health is affected. Right now, there is a rise in suicide rate. I know in our part of Nigeria, we don't like talking about suicide. We don't like talking about mental health. We don't like anything that has to do, but we are all stressed. The majority of us are stressed. So the mental effect of the pandemic is there. Then add salary cuts, layoff on top of all that. It's very stressful. So employers should please be nice to their employees. HR managers, management teams, please be nice to your workers. Don't just treat them flippantly, because without them anyway, you can't do all the job by yourself. Provide frequent, relevant updates and leave the channel of communication open both ways. Be available to talk and be available to hear. Update your policies to accommodate the new issues that we are facing. You have to. You know, I was talking to Ugo earlier, I was saying, this is a new norm. I keep telling people, this one is not a new norm for me. I've been working offline for the past, since 2014, 2013. You know, so it's not a new norm for me. But then I know, for me to be able to work in this kind of environment, policies, we have policies in place that accommodate all these new norms people are talking about. Whatever it is, check your industry, check your company, and check the policy that will be suitable for you to be able to work with. And then, in a case where you have staff furlough or you have staff cuts, please restore your employees back to the original pay as soon as you are able to. And if you are laying off staff, please be very careful. Follow the rules of termination. A lot of people feel, oh, in this kind of the world, nobody sue. People have started suing everybody. You do me wrong, I sue you. That's what people are doing, especially these millennials. They're not ready to go through stress with anybody. So don't just terminate and just feel I'll terminate anyhow. Follow the rules of your termination. Apply the Labor Act. You must give notice of termination if you are going to terminate, or payment in lieu. And in places where you're supposed to give some form of compensation, please pay your staff. Don't say you don't have money, you have to pay. There's no money now, so don't get sued. Don't let people sue you for the remaining money you have in your coffers. Refer to the contract of employment to what was agreed on that document. That still goes back. The way employee will lay off or terminate their employer is still around the Labor Act and around the contract of employment that the employee is holding. So it's very important. I will reiterate it again. Please make sure your contract letter is complete, not incomplete. Finally, the law allows that you can have oral agreements. It's allowed, and they give you 3 months, blah blah blah, for you to have a written contract. I don't support that. I prefer you give me my letter of employment, my contract letter from beginning, even before I joined you, before I joined your company. I want to see what I'm supposed to give you and what you're supposed to give me. It's a two-way relationship. It's a two-way relationship. It's never a one-way. Don't be bullies. Nigerian companies, a lot of our CEOs are bullies. They just bully their workers and treat them anyhow. A lot of them are glorified one-man business. I'm sorry to sound like that, but when you see the way workers are treated and the way the HR are being bullied into some things, you will understand the importance of having a complete letter of employment. Is very, very important. So finally, please note that termination due to COVID-19 is not a legal term. The law allows redundancy in case of business-related reasons, such as lack of maybe no work, no income coming in. You are allowed. But please choose your terms very well. Don't just terminate and say, I'm terminating you because of COVID. No. You can be sued because I'm not the one. Your employee didn't cause COVID. So you've used the terms that are legally acceptable. Okay. Business-related reasons, the company is not making money because of what's going on and all that, blah, 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 we are sorry to let you go and all that. And then be very nice. At the end of the day, you can even go further. You can conduct an exit interview. Don't make the person feel bad that they are leaving the job. Let them be welcome, in how you're doing it. So all in all, please know that globally, the pandemic has caused anything it can cause. What was never in the mind or in the imagination of anybody to ever think that such an issue can come up where everything will be grounded. Even when you're working by, in your homes and all that, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So the employee relationships with the employer has been changed. How the going back to work is going to be difficult. So for companies that are rolling out policies, a lot of them will be considering, oh, do I even need people to come back to an office space? Maybe everybody should work from home. Google is considering that. A lot of companies are considering all these options where they can say, okay, please go home and we'll pay you for work, to work from home. Be ready for all of this. Those are the global outlooks, which can adapt to our nation, Nigeria. Thank you very much. I hope I've been able to explain myself.
Very well, very well. Thank you very much, Ms. Mojisola Garba. Mojisola Garba is an experienced and a very good professional. She's very down to earth. She just spoke succinctly, basically, on how this COVID-19 pandemic has affected everyone. And I'm trying to summarize what she said for those who are just joining us. And we appreciate her. We thank you very much. She has just spoken about looking at alternative ways for employers. She is telling us that please alternative ways of, making our employees work for us. She brought out the issue of follow. Follow is a concept in law which is not really well known in Nigeria here. It says that some staff can be put on hold in periods of crisis. Now, if you are looking at the law, when you say the periods of crisis, it does not in quotes tell us which is a crisis situation. But for this COVID-19 is a pandemic situation. But this concept does not work here, where the person is retained and is not paid salaries. But in Nigeria, as she also said, if you are employed, you are employed. You are either paid your salary or you are not employed. So the concept of follow cannot here. But I think this is what's going after this. This is something that companies can take advantage of and can put in their forms of contract. She also says that employees should be considerate, because at times like this is a pandemic, nobody actually brought this idea of, okay, COVID-19 should come now. No, it came up on us, it crept on us, and it's an idea that, you know what, everybody, even the employees, should realize that in the management sphere of influence now. Now, as she said, please be careful and be mindful. If they tell you, if you are not being productive, the possibility that you might have to visit the HR's office to say that you might, we are considering, you know, termination because of COVID-19 might occur. And as she has advised that please be relevant, be very relevant. Every employee should not be, when they are looking for who to terminate, because the aim of business is to make money. And if you are at this period of time, you are becoming an issue or you're becoming a burden, you would have to be terminated. He also says that please let us keep a balance and open, put a balance to it, because regarding our contracts, some companies usually just write contracts, some don't even write contracts. And in the law, it's implied. If you tell someone, I want you to be coming to work, and you have agreed and person has taken consent, it is a contract. So those who are preparing the contracts, HRU managers, please go back to the drawing board and work on it. And those who are receiving the employee now, please read through your contracts. We thank Mojisola for taking this time out to explain, and she did it so well. For those that have questions, please, you can send your questions directly to the host, like HR. If you look at this, you can send him a direct question. He would be able to, during the period, we'll have a session for question and answers, and Moji will be able to answer the questions you have asked her. We really appreciate you, Moji. Thank you very much. Even though we don't see the slides, we would want you to know that at the end of this program, we'll send the slides over to you so you can work on the slides. Please, at the end of this program, also certifications will be given to you. Now, this is a free online seminar on employee relations and the law. It's a view of the global labor force in the new normal. So we'll be quickly expecting our next presenter, Ikeoluwa Akano. She's a HR consultant for Clarion Tech, to speak on the new normal, employee relations and the law. So we'll be waiting for her to, if she's around, she can quickly start. We might not be able to share her screen content because of Zoom. Now we know Zoom is being hacked because a lot of people are on it now. So please, let's listen, follow up. If we have questions, please send it to Clarion Tech HR. We appreciate you, Moji. Please, can we get Ikeoluwa Akano to come up right now and start, so that we'll have enough of room to ask and answer questions. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad you can hear me now. Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the invite, and I must say that Mrs. Mojisola had done a brilliant job already, but of course, there's still learning can't stop. You know, there's still so much to learn and to know. So I'll just take it up from there. So I have my slides on the side, so since it can be, so I'll sort of be looking at the site as I'm presenting. as much as possible, focus on the screen also. Okay, so employee relations and the law. There's this quote I actually started my slide with, and I so much love the quote. It says, in order to build a rewarding employee experience, you need to understand what matters most to your people. So this is a time where we're naturally tuned to be focused on the business, like the business must stay alive and stuff like, which is actually very valid. But we should also know that there is no business without the people. So it's important also that as much as we are, as HR professionals right now, as much as we are trying to keep the business alive, we should not play down on our employees. So that I won't jump ahead of myself, let me just do my outline. In the course of this discussion, I'll be talking about briefly on, of course, the future of work, and then clarity on why we need to keep learning even in the course of this pandemic and every other thing that will still happen beyond pandemic. And of course, I'll also talk about some pillars of the employee relations, and then a peep into the labor law, and finally, how to address our current situation as HR professionals. Now, the truth is that we'll be hearing, I'm sure that a number of people have been saying, the future, what's it called? There's a new normal, like I'm sure we all know about this. We've all heard about this, but the new normal simply points to us that the future that we've been looking forward to seeing is actually right now. A number of people have been saying beyond now, the workplace has changed. And then, the workplace is now remote, is digital, and distributed. I can be an employee living in Benin and working for an employer right here in Lagos. That is what the new normal is. So it means that work will change. It also means that, sorry, I'm just trying to adjust. Okay, so it means that work has changed, rather, not will change. So, the kind of things, the kind of work we do in the environment is not what it used to be. Obviously, we'll be transferring from the very file works that we used to do to quite a digital kind of environment. And of course, it's already a distributed kind of environment. So in this kind of environment, what should we begin to do? Firstly, I would say as HR professionals that what was right yesterday is not right today, and it won't be right tomorrow. So it's important for us to keep learning. Everything is changing so swiftly. So our learning also must be swift. We must, begin to acquire knowledge as much as possible. Most of us are probably on this webinar, because you hear all things, not because all things you hear are going to be new. You will also get to learn from it. Like, some of us have been doing. I'm not sure I've done webinars, in the last 1 month like I've ever done in my life. So, we just must be learning. The slide actually shows us about learning, unlearning, and relearning. It means that we must be open to now. What worked yesterday will likely not work today. So as HR professionals, it's key also that we should empower ourselves. So I've had questions in so many seminars where people say stuff like HR this, HR that, the business leader is dragging the HR for this, the employee HR, and a lot of thought leaders and a number of people said, maybe the CEO, but I'm somewhat tuned to the fact that lead HR takes care of themselves, and this we can do by I don't know, I'm sure most of us have probably career mentors, people we look forward to, that we see for. I think this is a time that you need that more than ever before. And beyond that is also that you need also to be be balanced emotionally. So just before you ask someone to wear a face mask, you need to practically put yours on. So it's important that we are also equipping ourselves, getting ready for this. Because if we are not balanced, we can't make somebody else balanced. There's this joke on top of my head. I remember in those days where I don't know how many of you all believe that that fathers are wicked, because they literally come home, some of them lashing, because once they open their eyes, you cannot ask for school fees now. I say, Daddy, I need this. And of us believe it was wickedness. But over time, as we grow up, we realize that it's probably because daddy does not have money to give. So daddy knows that if I open face, you know, you will not come as. And basically, that's what we might be doing as HR. If we are not balanced ourselves, we will just lash out from the wrong side. So it's important for us to equip ourselves and begin to HR ourselves before we HR others. And you know, so before we assist others, we should also assist ourselves. Different resources for us. So one of the definition of employee relations that jumped at me while I was preparing for this session is that it's concerned with the contractual, emotional, physical, and practical relationship between employers and employee. So how practical can we be in this relationship? I believe that the best thing HR can offer as such a time as this is the H in the R. Everybody have been saying, oh, put the human back to the what's it called, to HR. But right now I'm saying that it's so important that this is a time that we need to see that H functional. You know, this is a time that we need to see the human in the HR. And 3 keywords I think should be taken into cognizance while doing this is that we need to be empathetic, we need to be fair, and be consistent. You know, Mrs. Mojisola mentioned something about people it's not even about, you know, the business owner themselves alone, even HR officials. Recently I was reading through some chats on LinkedIn, and I saw people who said, oh, my employer called us for a Zoom meeting, and then they said I was asked to drop my laptop so that they can do some software upgrade, and then by evening, he got a letter of termination, only for him to realize that he was the only one that submitted his laptop. Come on, I don't think anybody here wants to be that kind of HR. I don't want to be. You know, there was a day I saw a quote by Yemi Fashion, one of the HR thought leaders around, and he said that as we grow in our career, we will learn how to and not to practice HR. I believe that is not how to practice HR. You know, to get somebody to bring laptop for an update and then withdraw the laptop and then send the termination letter. This is not obviously the time where you want to send your termination letter via email without any prior, communication or thereabout. So I think that we should be empathetic, we should be fair, and also be consistent. So what are the skills that I think that we need as HR professionals in this season? And even as business owners, we must be proactive. You know, we must be proactive. We don't want to wait to see things happen before we act or to do anything about it. You want to be looking at left, right, and center to ensure that you put things forward before it's brought to you. You know, of course, there are a lot of assumptions all over. Yes, I agree, but we will keep assuming because we have not been on this boat before. None of us have been on this boat before. But as much as the assumptions are coming on, we need to be proactive about decisions that we need to make. Of course, we need to put on our listening skills like never before. Listen, and listen. You know, I believe that listening is a skill that can be learned. You know, in every way possible, we need to be listening. I'm trying to rush through things now. And also, we need to be highly influential. Your influencing skills must be top notch. I believe that what the organization who asked that they bring laptop and then send the termination letter lacked, or either the HR manager, was an influencing skill. I mean, you know, there are ways, like Ms. Mojisola said, that you can communicate these things. And, you know, it's possible. It's possible. We need to talk. We should need to grow our influencing skills. Of course, we need to be flexible.
Hello.
You know,
Hello, Ike.
Hello. Yes, please.
Yes. We've run out of time. We'd like you to focus on the points that your last two slides. You mentioned the legal aspect. Please, can we do that, because we have questions that we want both of you and Clarence Hedgel, Mr. Ugo, and maybe I can answer.
Okay, that's
really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the last Q, I'll just mention. Employee relations that I said was going to mention was open communication. You don't want to hear stuff about, you don't want the employers to hear stuff about, you know, the communication about from somebody else. They should hear from you. So we should be open And then we should also invest in our employees, take feedback, and also recognize them as much as possible. So as she rightly said, there are also, just a peep into the legal part, there are also some decisions that are being made currently by employers, and then, of course, through the HR at such a time as this. No doubt there will be job losses. No doubt the time is tough. No doubt it's a delicate balance, to make between what is currently, how to keep the business alive and also to be similarly fair to the employees. But like I had on my slide, I was just going to read out. So one of the things that we have that organizations are currently doing are compelling workers and employees to take their annual leave with full pay, compelling workers or employees to take compulsory leave without pay, reducing salaries, reducing the work hours, and also initiating redundancy procedures. So as Ms. Mojisola said earlier, the thing is that these things are not, if in line with the labor law, these things, especially to compel your workers to take their leave, either with or without pay, are not provided or supported in the labor law. It's not. But the fact remains that, all of these dimensions that we could take to help the business stay alive at this moment, because survival is key, are not particularly, they're not backed up, except probably the redundancy procedures and reducing the number of work hours, based on agreement. However, it is not even in the doing that is the issue, it is how it is done. It's important that we engage and engage and engage. These things, recently I heard about an employer who was, although an employer who communicated to the employees that, oh, okay, I'm going to pay you. That was, I think it was in May. That was in April. I'm going to pay you April. Please bear with me, give a week or there. But I think it's a small business, an SME. So what he said was that his employees said to him that, boss, we did not work. So, and we understand how this business needs to be sustained in a time like this. And that we agree that you sort of, give us employees and not the employer. Yes, I was shocked too when I heard about, but so it is important that there is communication. You collaborate with your employees so that these agreements can be made. So as much as I know that, the legal part of this, like we said, employee and employee relations and the law is important. I also want to emphasize what I tagged there as legal versus psychological contract. So over time, when we have we have our employees, over time we have had this psychological contract with the people we're working with. There are expectations that this employee already have from us. And there is what we call cultures and values that we have built over time with these employees that we have. Their experiences that they have had, there's some level of trust that they have in us already. These are the things that will come to fore at this time. I'm a husband. I tell my wife there is no money. I come in driving in G-Wagon and I just bought this. There's no way I want to explain. So it must be obvious part of the culture and the value we are bringing in thus far to our employees that, there are certain measures that needs to be taken that might not particularly be palatable to us. Of course, one thing also that is key in the psychological contract is relationship. I stated here that what we have put in the last few years, we now build or bite us. So if all the while, it's the employee has had some, had not believed in us, this is the time they will obviously show it that I know that I will be sacked irrespective of COVID. Do you get, so we need to build a relationship. Some of us, of course, will be saying, what if we have not had this relationship over time? And then we really need to do this for our business to stay alive. It's not a good place to be. It's not a good position to be. But of course, decisions need to be made. But collaboration and communication can start from right now. and we can get it right.
We do appreciate you, Ikeoluwa. Well, we've seen that we've run out of time, and we expect that please we would like your slides to be shared with us. And for everybody that is part of this, if you can drop your name, your numbers, and your email addresses again, we'll be able to share the slides from Ms. Mojisola Garba and Ms. Ikeoluwa Akano. Please, it's time, it's 4:03, and we'd like to round up. There are some pertinent questions that, Mr. Ugo, do I go ahead?
Sure, go ahead, go ahead.
There are some questions that we have on ground, and we would like to see, we'd like you to address it from the safety part of the legal part, and the human part of management, the human resource part of management, which Ms. Akano has been talking, emphasizing a lot about even if you want to tell me, go and jump over into the third mainland bridge, I will tell you when, how soon, because there's a relationship already with it. So there's this question that has come up from Greg, and Greg says, which is the general question. I would like, basically he says, what do you do if you are paid half of your salary during this period? What are you going to do? That's the question that came up. Please, can anybody, Mrs. Garba, Ikeoluwa, please handle that question. That's a general question.
Okay, let me answer that, if that's okay.
Sure. Let me say this question. Can an employee accept half salary from the employer during this period, despite being asked by the employer to be working from home, to lockdown is completely lifted?
He's been working from home, and he's proving that he's working from home, full hours.
Allegedly.
Okay, if you've been working from home and it's agreed and your company knows that you've been working from home, you are due your full pay. That's the law. However, if there's any reason for you to be paid half salary, you must be given a reason. It must have been communicated to you earlier, both verbally and in writing. Any worker that has worked full hours, please, you are entitled to your full pay. But if there's any reason for them to pay you less than what you have worked, it must be on agreement. That's where the communication comes in. The Labor Act requires that you get paid your full pay. We know right now things are a bit, the economy is upside down and all that. Nobody should cheat anybody. If you are going to pay me half of my pay, please let me know. Let me agree. Let's discuss it. Don't just dump it on me. That's why we are saying how you do it is very important also. But the law says you work your full hours, you get paid your full pay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Moji. Ikeoluwa, what do you think? Anything?
I agree with her, actually. I think that's just it. You're entitled to your full pay. However, if there's going to be any change, there must have been a communication and agreement, which should also be written, just like your contract letter was written at the start of the employment.
Okay, Mr. Ugo. Okay, I'd like also to, there's this, I also always like, as a HR person, to go back to the law, because it always covers both ends. Because as a HR person, you are a representative of your company. And this is a novel situation and is a crisis period. As Ms. Moji had already said, Moji said that this is new. Please consider everybody, but the way you say it has to be in a way that is acceptable. Ikeoluwa says that it's not really nice for you to tell someone to bring the laptop to the office, they want to work on it, and you let the person go. People get angry when you take advantage of them. So it's a way you go about it. And you can't expect to make your full salary if you are not being productive. The law also states that, I just went through, I always like going to this legal site, and it's something like this: can the employer unilaterally vary the contract of employment? The answer is yes. The answer is yes, and it depends. There are different ways you talk to the unionized employees. There's a way you speak to those under the contract, and those that and those that you don't have a contract. You could say factory workers, and there are some people there are some businesses. Let's be realistic in Nigeria. You just employ people and say, you know what, work for this period of time. When you ask for their contract, letter of employment, it is not as solid. So there are 3 categories. And the law still says that yes, your company can unilaterally alter this, what's it called, terms of contract. But before they do it, there are limitations to what they can alter. The facilitators here had said that there are something to take off. That's why it noticed. But the idea now is, yes, your company can do that, the employer can do that, but before they do it, as Mrs. Garba had said, there should be a written letter to confirm that, look, we are going to pay you this at this period, because it is obvious people are not working as they should. The Labor Act tells you, Labor Act of 2004 says that even though you want people to work, you should put into consideration some safety measures. If the company cannot keep you safe, give you a bus that takes you from destination A to the workplace, that does not give you a mask or even protect you, give you personal protective equipment, then they are putting you at risk. And if they can't do that, then there's a reason. They can use that reason to say we cannot protect these people. Now, this is one of the statements they would use, and they said, okay, but before they do that, they have to put it in writing. They should tell you, and tell you this is the situation. When some companies can't even work, if you look at the slide Ms. Garba put up, she put up the slide of the airline, not traveling. How do they make money during this period? So during this period, yes, they might have to terminate. They might have to reduce the workforce. They might have to downsize, whichever way or concept we call it. Yes, they have the right to. But as Ms. Ikeoluwa says, Ms. Ikeoluwa Akano, she says, please put the human face to it. You don't just tell somebody you can take 20,000 instead of their 40,000 salary. Let them know about it and let them agree. Even if you are doing it in a way it's not right, let them agree to it so that you can safeguard yourself and safeguard your company. And as they advise, as employees, please be relevant. Be relevant even during this period. Do we have more questions? Mr. Ugo?
Yes, there are a few more questions. I don't know if you can see it. One came from Peter Huna. Okay, I think 2. Can you see them?
Yes, I think I can see one. Okay. And that's, I think, Ike, I'm going to give you this question. Hello, Ike?
Yeah, I'm here with you.
Okay. What will you do as an employee when you just see a mail on your mail, maybe your mailbox from your company, and ask you to embark on leave without pay, leave without duration? I think that's and no engagement, nothing. What do you do?
Unfortunately, I'll go about it this way. Like, the business does not belong to you. You are just received that notification. It is not a palatable one, but it's now left to you to make your decision. Are you ready? Are you willing to take it? You know, while you begin to be. That's what I was. As it depends. You will choose what you want in the course of your career. You will learn which kind of employer you want to continue to work for, or you will never ever work for as you grow in your career. So this is a red flag. However, if you are able to take it for this time to keep the body and soul together, you want to it, and then begin to plan what you want to do. Going forward, what plans do you have for yourself? Like the first speaker said, you also need to begin to build your skills. You also need to begin to, learning should now be something you want to consume voraciously, so that you develop yourself, you hone your skills, and then you take your move. Of course, if you are not relevant in the place of work, no employer is ready to take a liability. It is not it's not what's it called now? I mean, it's not a charity organization in that sense. So exactly. So you must be ready for your next move. However, this you have got to make a choice. Am I going to take it? And then but you can't sue an employer you are still working for anyway. So it's your call. You make a choice. You want to leave, you want to take it and stay, and then make a move.
Thank you very much. This is to you, Madam Garba. Well, okay, it's Garba here, please. Her name is Mojisola Garba. I want to know, a worker being forced to report at work, or he faces termination or reduction in salary. This is the current situation. A worker is being forced to go to work, or he faces termination or reduction in salary. Does the worker have any right to refuse any of the above? If yes, please kindly explain. Thank you. Mr. Ugo, please can you put the microphone on for Ms. Garba?
Okay, am I on? Okay, I'm on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I'm confused with the word forced.
Yes.
In what environment are we talking about? If I'm employed to work, I'm not being forced to work. So I need to understand what that force is. Employee-employer relationship means you provide the work, then I do the work. So I don't want to give an answer that contradicts anything, but if you are employed to work, you're supposed to work. However, you should work in a safe environment. Your employer owes you to make sure your working environment is safe for you to work. So I'm not sure I quite understand that word work and force.
Let me just, on behalf of everybody, let me say, what about if, because I've had this question come up,
okay,
that the person lives in Ikeoluwa and he has to come to work, whether he likes it or not. And there's no room, or there's no environment for safety, even at this time. No personal protection equipment, okay. No vehicle that takes the person from Ikeoluwa to the mainland, and the person is left exposed. Okay. This does contradict with the Labor Act of 2004 about safety, where the employer should make sure that whatever the person is doing, or however the person gets to work, he has to, and he shouldn't be put under duress. Because here he says you must report to work or face termination. And this person says to him, I must report to work. The transportation is 2,500 as of 500. That is force. The employer has not given the person enough money to cover their expenses. Please, what do we say about this?
Okay, one of the problems in such instance, those are signs that you see in one-man business in Nigeria, and it's peculiar to this environment, and it's unfortunate also because we don't have enough push from even the labor union people and all that, that can side with the employees when it comes to these issues. You are meant to make sure, the employer should ensure that everything is safe for the worker to be able to work and deliver his own part of the deal. If it were in a developed country, that won't even happen because you'll be sued. But fortunately in Nigeria, I keep hearing such issues with all these SMEs, one-man business where they treat their staff anyhow, unfortunately. And I can't work, like what Ikeoluwa said. It's not left for you to decide if you want to continue. I won't want to continue. In fact, one of the things I told one of my people working with me, if you're going to be a boss, don't come to work. Because you're not safe and you are coming to meet us, we are not, you expose us also. So I'm not doing him a favor by telling him not to come. I'm also doing myself a favor by telling him not to expose me. And people that have called me and asked me, okay, how do we handle workers? I said, one of the things you should do, any worker that is traveling coming to work by public transport, please make sure they stay at home. Because you expose everybody in the office. In this instance, I would have to follow what Ikeoluwa said with her. It's not left for you to decide if you want to continue working in that environment. I personally don't like working with Nigerian companies. I don't like working with one-man business. It's a decision. I've never enjoyed it. It drives me crazy because my personality doesn't keep quiet, and my personality doesn't. I don't like being, when I see people treated unfairly. So I prefer working with people that make sense, that understand what it is to hire people and understand the two-way relationship. I deliver, you meet me halfway also.
Thank you.
But I'm sorry to say, Nigerian companies and one-man businesses, this is how they treat their staff.
Thank you.
And it's wrong.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Garba. Interesting. Yeah, well, what if, as a Nigerian, Ms. Garba, you set up a company, a one-man company? I'm sure you make a lot of sense.
I think I'll be very fair in how I treat my workers, the same way I treat the people that work for me in my house, that they stay 10 years, 12 years, and they don't go. It speaks a lot in how you even treat your house girls at home.
Sure.
Okay,
there's another
question here.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Garba. There's another question here. We have, what will you do when you have resumption time and you don't have closing time? And we answer it regarding this pandemic period. This period. Let us realize now that this is the period where the old meets the new. Going on forward, let's not talk about the past. Let's talk about the present.
Yeah, with the curfews. Would this kind of scenario actually exist? Will it exist this time with the curfews? But I think we can take a look at it generally. But I think every employer is.
Yeah. I said it's a point. However, it's all about you, actually, honestly. So people will say that, oh, so if there's no other means to get money, what do you now do? The thing is that curfew is in town, and then it's important that we also begin to take note of what our contract letter says.
Yes.
I bet that most of us take jobs that we don't even know once we just look at the salary, we don't look at any other thing on our contract letter. We should have some things deployment, take notes. So yeah, in this part of the world, of course, unemployment rate is high. I just want to take anything and work for anything. So it still boils down to you, because if you are caught during the curfew, you will be the one. I've seen someone who was taken to panty, I don't know what they call it. This recent issues, because she left work late, and she, for that matter. So it still depends on you. As much as you want to be, you don't want to be rude. You must be constructive in your feedback to your employer where need be. You need to leave the office at social time to beat the curfew. You just need to be firm and make sure that your feedback is constructive.
Thank you very much. 3 things we can take from these discussions is first, there'll be a new normal now. We'll find out that the HR personnel and companies will start rewriting the contracts, putting a lot of things in place. We'll find out that there'll be a lot of working from home and work sharing methods coming up. And we'll also find out that even after this, there'll be a flurry of litigations. You'll be hearing a lot in the media that a lot of people taking up their companies to suing and all. This era, this is what was going to occur after this pandemic. And you find out a lot of people suing companies, complaining, backbiting, people on this is what has occurred and happened. But please let us realize that this is a novel situation. This is a learning process, and let's be proactive. Let's not wait for it to occur or happen to us. Right now, we've had with the HR board, there was the business continuity session that we had earlier. Please, if it's possible, go on the YouTube or go online and please go back and read it. Listen to it. I think it will help us move forward. And as Ms. Garba said, there's a course which Clarentech HR is offering for free, which we can take advantage of so that we'll position ourselves to start in the future so that we won't be looking at the time of, is it leave without duration, leave without pay. We won't be bringing up these issues again. We really appreciate those that have followed us from the beginning. And at this time, please register again through this link, the link you used to come into the Zoom meeting, you'll be having a free certificate for this seminar. It's a free HR seminar. And please go to the Clarentech website and register. And we would give you the slides because there was no time. Ikeoluwa could not even sit down. We could not even appreciate her own presentation. If Mr. Ugo could listen to us, maybe once again, going on for us, she will come up again and speak to us on how we can manage this situation. We want to thank everybody. Please, if you still have questions, you have answers, even you have a comment. I see one from Mr. Alani Adegoke. He says, employees could be reasonable with the employer, provided the employer is transparent in current situation and also can convince the employers. And also, I think what he's trying to say is that if the employer can convince the employees that the assurance, the situation will soon improve. We really do not know if this situation will improve. And if it does improve, the situation of the office environment where 9 to 5 jobs, you have to go to the office and sit in the office would not arise again. It will change a lot. There's a change. Yes, human beings we do not like change, but whichever way it is inevitable and this will occur. We would like to thank Ms. Garba for taking time out to present to us. And we pray that more companies, SMEs would have a sense of thinking, and if more SMEs in Nigeria were owned by people like Ms. Garba, I think we wouldn't be in this situation. We thank Ms. Ikeoluwa for taking time out. I know her slides are beautiful. If later on, Mr. Ugo, please let us have her come back up, and she helps us again with clarifying a lot of issues. She brings to life. We appreciate all of us. Over to you, Mr. Ugo.
Well, thank you very much. In fact, I'm glad I was able to smile again. The beginning of the meeting was not fun at all. When we had some very interesting brothers try to take over the meeting. My special apologies to everyone. Mrs. Garba, Ms. Akano, Ms. Adesowa, and all our guests. It was worrisome, but I'm glad you all came back again to join the meeting. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate your time and the resources and efforts you've made towards making this event a success. Like you've seen, it's been wonderful. In fact, as an employer, I've learned a lot. I will improve, even though I was a good employer, but I will improve. Well, And so let me remind us again, all those who joined us, please, we'll need you. It's not everybody that joined with their names. Some are joining with their phones. We have the attendance. Okay, we will need you to write us with the name you use to attend this meeting so that we can process your certificate. Okay, please write us with the name. The email is solutions@clarionGR.com. It's the same email you've been using, solutions@clarionGR.com. Write us back with the name you use so we can process your certificate. And then for those who missed the event, in the next 30 minutes, you can join, go to our YouTube channel. You'll see the video of this presentation, and so you can watch again. We'll look for ways of helping others who couldn't make time to attend. Maybe after seeing the video, we'll set some assessment for you. If you're able to take those assessments, then we'll be able to issue certificates. We want to help as much people as we can do. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate you. Thank you to our beautiful guests. Right. So that's why you've done great. Right. Right. So we look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks' time. We'll be discussing a very important topic. We'll be looking at computer security. You can see what happened today. Yeah, and so we will have 2 ethical hackers coming, and so they will first teach me what to do, so that in the event next time will be good, and then they can now talk to every other person. And so we're bringing on board 2 professional ethical hackers. And so I'm sure you face similar situations in your workplace. They will teach you how to secure your system, because going forward, this is what we expect. So please stay tuned. In 2 weeks' time, we look forward to having you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day to everyone.
Bye, Ugo. Bye, Adesua. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.